Political Buzz is your rapid-fire look at the best political topics of the day. 3 questions, 30 seconds on the clock, playing today. CNN contributor Maria Cardona, Pete Dominick, host of CNN's What the Week, and Sherry Jacobus, Republican strategist and columnist for The Hill. Good to see all of you this lovely Friday. All right,
Thanks,
first
Fred.
up,
You too.
It looks like Newt Gingrich is getting a little ahead of himself. Just take a listen.
I mean, it's very hard not to look at the recent polls and think that the odds are very high I'm going to be the nominee.
Okay, so will his momentum really last until Iowa? Pete, you first.
Well, he is getting a little ahead of himself, Fred, and he's got a lot of momentum, but there's only 32 days left in the Iowa caucus. He just set up his first office in Iowa. There's still time for a lot of other people to get in the race. I mean, Rick Santorum could be a front runner, maybe Ron Paul, maybe Jeb Bush will jump in, maybe Nancy Reagan will get in. You know, there's still all time for somebody else to be the front runner here. I mean, why not? I mean, John Huntsman maybe, but he's making too much sense. I think he'll probably implode. We'll see, Fred.
Okay, Sherry, too much too soon?
Well, on one level you can say that, but then on the other hand, there are very few people on the national stage who can get away with that kind of confidence. Newt Gingrich is one of them. When you look at what he's accomplished, he has a great deal to be confident about. He understands this game. He knows what his record is in terms of being confident. Bringing his party into the majority in the mid-90s, being largely responsible for welfare reform, for balanced budgets, for the surplus. He gets this, and he understands what his surge is about. So while he's also very clear about his failings, I think he has every right to express confidence. I'd rather he say that if he's the nominee, he'll be president, though.
Okay, ooh, okay, Maria.
The problem with this, Frederica, is that now is when Newt becomes Newt's worst enemy, because he becomes cocky, he becomes full of himself, and that's when the famous undisciplined Newt can come into play. And we also know that what voters hate most is a self-anointed candidate. They hate candidates who have crowned themselves before even one vote has been cast. He would be wise to take a little slice of humble pie and not act like he knows more than the voters before the Iowa caucuses, and the voters are the ones who are going to make the decision.
Okay, let's talk now about Herman Cain acknowledging his wife didn't even know about what he calls a 13-year friendship with Ginger White. Listen.
It may appear now that why didn't I tell her about this when it was going on? You're absolutely right. But
in retrospect.
You know, in retrospect. But retrospect, you know, doesn't necessarily change what we're dealing with now.
But your wife knew that you two were friends anyway.
She did not know we were friends. Okay. Okay.
Until she came out.
Until she came out with this story.
Oh boy. All right, prediction time. Will Herman Cain still be in the race come Monday? Sherry.
The bigger question is, will he still have a marriage come Monday?
I can't hear.
So I think the problem, I have a column, by the way, in today's edition of The Hill, where I call for him to take a page out of Barney Frank's playbook and pull out of this situation, to pull out of the race. I think it's time, and he's a distraction. We have a serious primary campaign going on. I don't think he belongs there. I think he needs to leave the stage and let the serious people who have a shot at this take over.
Okay, Maria, can you hear me now? And if so,
yes, I can. Thank you.
Do you see Herman Cain being able to last until, you know, his race until Monday? Or is he out?
You know, yeah, it's going to be, it's actually so sad to see this, and it's going to be interesting what happens on Monday. This has become, it's gone beyond being a political tragedy to now becoming a human tragedy, and I so feel for his wife in this situation, and my heart goes out to her, and I'm sure, you know, everybody feels for her in this situation. And I think what people have to understand is, and I agree with Sherry, it is time for him to go. Even if you can get past the ick factor, the fact that he has absolutely no experience, no knowledge, and no expertise on the issues that you need to be commander-in-chief says it all right there.
All right, Pete.
Fred, listen, his wife did not know about a 13-year friendship with this woman. I know women that would be upset about a 13-minute friendship with certain women in this way. Come on, I mean, if she takes him back, she's got to be the world's most patient and forgiving wife of all time. The only reason he's not going home is because he doesn't want to see his bags packed. The only reason why Herman Cain is still in this race, and it'll be a couple more weeks, is so he can try to repair his image. And the only way cameras are going to pay attention to him is if he's running for president. This guy's trying to repair his image, and that's why he's hanging out for a couple more weeks.
Okay, speaking of image, trying to repair it or poke fun at your buzzer beater right now, Rick Perry trying to poke fun at the recent string of his mistakes. Take a look.
What happened with the brain freeze that night? With the, you had the three things to remember.
Well, you know, 1, 2, and
yeah.
And, it happens, man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. That's what I tell him. I said, listen, it happens. It just goes. Every now and then I call my dogs by the wrong name.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
I get that wrong too.
Okay, so will voters get the joke? 20 seconds each. Maria, you first.
The voters, I think, have already gotten the joke, and unfortunately, the joke is Rick Perry himself. I think, though, that he's doing. There's nothing else that he can do, so I guess he's doing his best in terms of laughing at himself, poking fun at himself. Perhaps, as Pete said earlier, he's trying to repair his image, which I think is the only thing left for him to do in this campaign.
Pete, you had your head in your hands.
The only comedian he hasn't sat down with is me. Rick Perry, you're invited on my radio show. Come on over. Listen, show of hands. Show of hands if anybody has ever seen Rick Perry and Sarah Palin in the same room. Come on. I don't get it. This is the least funny guy. The only people that are still hanging on are Texas voters that are predisposed to voting for Rick Perry for governor. He's done too.
All right, Sherry, last word.
It was a good move when he first made the gaffe to poke a little bit of fun at himself and show he's not taking himself too seriously. But now I think it's a bridge too far. I think it was time for him some time ago to get very serious and do better at the debates, which he did to a degree. But he hasn't recovered completely. So I'm not sure poking fun at himself again and again and again is all that good for him.
All right, Sherry, Pete, Maria, thanks so much. You all have a great weekend.
Thanks, Fred. You too.